Good evening, Year 11, and welcome to your Night Before News for Maths Paper 2. This is the higher version of that Night Before News. So, what's going to be in this exam? Now we've had Paper 1, we can think about all the things that came up. So here are all the topics that were in Paper 1. Now we've seen some of these, we can start to say these aren't going to come up again. For example, your composite functions, your histograms, probability trees, area under curves. If they've been in Paper 1, they're not going to come up in Paper 2 or Paper 3. So it's not worth spending your time revising these things. Before I list what could be a good thing to revise, a really important to note is to say you do both Paper 2s and Paper 3s. Topics that could come up in either of those two papers. There's not a list of topics that always come up in Paper 2 or always come up in Paper 3. So if you're revising using papers, make sure you're looking at both of those. But if we look at specific topics, if we look at the algebra strand, you can see here there are lots of different algebra topics that have not come up yet in this exam. Multiplying and dividing algebraic fractions, sequences, looking at expanding brackets, rearranging or simultaneous equations. We have yet to see any of these in your exams, so if there's one thing on here you're not sure about, choose that and revise that tonight. Likewise, you can see there's quite a lot of geometry topics that didn't come up. Trigonometry, sine rule, cosine rule, circle theorems, lots of things here. Again, for you to choose if you're not sure about. Statistics and probability, again, quite a few things here. We had a few of these in Paper 1, so we can rule out some things, but we haven't seen cumulative frequency. We haven't seen box plots, so think about those topics. In number, actually we've had quite a few number topics in that first paper, but we haven't seen any bounds yet. Wasn't a great deal of standard form, and we didn't see compound interest, so just a handful of topics there, which could come up in Paper 2 or 3. And then finally, ratio and proportion. Could be anything to do with ratio, could be some sort of direct or inverse proportion question. We did see algebraic proportion, so it's worth noting those things. How are you going to revise? Well, pretty similar to Paper 1. You might want to look at topics this evening. If that's the case, Sparks is the place to start. When you go to your independent learning, make sure it's set at GCSE and type in your topic. Could be you want to do cumulative frequency, for example. Have a look at those questions there. Likewise, you might want to look at some topics on exam queue. When you do that, make sure you set it to higher, have Paper 2 and Paper 3 selected, and then you can put your topic into here. Could be you want to look at box plots. Could be you want to look at ratio questions. See the kind of thing that could come up in Paper 2 or Paper 3. When you go onto exam queue, you obviously get the mark scheme. You could see that maybe if it's a sine rule question, what do I need to do to get the first mark on that sine rule question? Oh, I only remember writing down the formula and substituting in. Well, if you can do that, that will get you the mark, and the mark scheme will show you that. So have a look and see how can you pick up 1, 2 marks on some of these topics. Maths Genie on GCSE revision has a huge bank of questions. Choose some of those, work on those, look at the exam answers. Corbett Maths is another place that has lots and lots and lots of videos, and particularly the worksheets you want to look at. Surge is the example here, but you can see there's lots of things. Look up for one of the topics you want to work on. And then finally, first class maths, again, full of topics. Make sure you choose the Edexcel from the GCSE list, and then think about which of these do you want to look at. Actually, all of these things might have come up already, but can you scroll down? Is there trigonometry? Is there non-linear simultaneous equations? Are there things you have done that you can go and revise to think about Paper 2 or Paper 3? It could be you want to do practice papers. As I say, make sure you're doing a mix of Paper 2s and Paper 3s. Maths Genie is the place to go for this. Make sure you choose Edexcel exam papers and pick some Paper 2s and 3s at random. Look at the last few questions. Look at the middle bit. What in that middle section is going to come up? If there is sine rule and cosine rule, does it come up repeatedly there? Think about the mark schemes you can see on Maths Genie. On exam queue. What do you need to do to get the first mark? The second mark? How many marks can you get on those questions? Tomorrow morning, come prepared to the hub. It will be open from 7 AM. Make sure you bring some questions you haven't been able to answer. If you know you're looking at sine rule, you've done it in lessons recently, and you did a couple last night, still not making sense, bring some sine rule questions in and ask a maths teacher. Could be 3 marks in your exam tomorrow. Can you make sure you pick up those extra 3 marks because you are proactive in the morning? There'll then be your breakfast mat, your revision in the gym. Make sure you're looking at that. Choose something you don't know. Don't choose something you haven't done in a lesson. So, for example, there's a circle theorem question that might be on your revision mat. You haven't done circle theorems yet, so don't think about or look at that question. Ask for something you're not sure about. Is there a third question on there you don't know? Is there completing the square? Is there factorising when x squared is bigger than 1? Is there something you know you've seen in lesson that you don't know how to do? Not pick something you've never seen before and see if you can work it out. Make sure you are preparing yourselves in the best way possible by tactically using your time in the morning to pick up marks. Good luck with your revision tonight, year 11. Think about some topics you're not sure about, and then good luck in that exam tomorrow. Don't panic if there's things you've not seen. Think about those things you have seen, and can you maximise your marks on those topics. Good luck.